Ni hao, Chinese.
Fijian, hello, bula.
The Spanish say hola.
Well, always in German, I would say guten Tag.
England has had so much influence internationally over the years that that's where it's come from, and it's expected that English can be spoken.
Actually, I've never experienced anyone coming from English speaking German.
Well, should we try harder to speak some of your language?
No, I don't think, because it's a little country and what use do you have to speak Danish?
So on some level, it's probably embarrassment, but it maybe manifests in other ways. They could become sort of very patriotic once they're abroad, don't they? And they go looking for their egg and chips rather than eating local food.
Could you order a beer in Spanish?
Un cerveza, por favor.
Very.
You can always order a beer, can't you?
With us now, John Warren from the British Council, which collated the report, and French teacher Cyril Rollet. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Why does it matter if we can't speak English when we can't speak French or Italian or Spanish when we go on a holiday?
Well, look, it's hitting you in the pocket. In our survey, at least 1 in 5 people own up to the fact that they've paid well over the odds. It's also affecting your enjoyment of your trip, as a similar number have ordered off a menu something they had absolutely no idea what it was and didn't particularly enjoy it either. So spoiling your holiday, hitting you in your pocket. And the broader point for the UK economy is there is a hell of a lot of trade going on in the world and a hell of a lot of opportunity for the UK that we are missing out on because we haven't got the linguistic and cultural skills.
17% of Brits surveyed admitted to faking a foreign accent when abroad.
Absolument. Everybody does it. And
So what, speaking English with a foreign accent?
Yeah,
or
speaking English with a foreign accent.
So that might help, is that what they think?
Well, I think there is some evidence that it helps a little bit because it gives people a clue that you're trying to speak in their language and trying to be understood.
Right.
And our guest here will tell you that some languages are more musical than English, so if you put a little bit of intonation into it, it gives people a fighting chance of guessing that you're trying to speak their language.
Yeah. Cyril, the difficulty is once you leave school, it's more difficult to learn something. As you get older, the blotting paper just doesn't seem to work as well in your brain.
Well, people have a tendency to think that, but I actually disagree with that. It might be a little bit easier, but you still have to put in the effort. If you don't learn the vocabulary, if you don't learn the technicality of the language, there's no way you can learn. And that's why there are specialist places, for example, in Manchester, at the Alliance Française. That's what we do. We teach mainly adults, okay? Some of them who have left school after a GCSE, an A-level or O-level for the older people, or people who have always refused to do anything with languages. And we're here for them. There are places.
It's interesting speaking to a French person particularly about this because my French is not brilliant, but I do try and speak French, and often when you try to speak in French, for example, a French person will come back to you in English.
It's because
which doesn't necessarily help.
It's because they see an opportunity to speak English.
So
that's what they want to do. They want to use you to develop their own language skills.
I think this is the key thing for us here, which is it's a confidence game as much as anything else. Yes, not enough of us do languages at schools. Yes, the world speaks English, but you say yourself, you've decent French. We all too easily, I think, flip over to English. It's the easier, safer thing to do. There's no embarrassment in it. But if you've got some linguistic skills, give them a go. It's a confidence game. The more you do it, the more people will speak back to you, and the rewards, I think, in terms of your enjoyment of your holidays are all there to be had.
People don't necessarily go to the same foreign country every year on their holidays, though. You only decide possibly in late winter, spring, even late spring, where you're going to go. So how much do you think you should learn for the basics?
Well, it depends really on what you want to do. If you imagine the person who wants to go to France, let's say, and who expects to find his British pub serving a pint of ale and a burger outside the plane, well, this person is not going to make any effort. If, on the other hand, you want to learn, you want to enjoy the company of the locals, if you want to exchange, and that's what it's all about, you want to learn to appreciate the locals and their culture. in that case, you need to at least be able to say a couple of words. And the more you know, the better, obviously. But as long as you can communicate and know a few questions, and the basics, just hi, thank you, where is this and that, you know, being able to ask a few questions.
You've got to understand the answers as well. But you speak, what, 4 languages, 5 languages?
5.
Does it become easier when you've got a couple under your belt? Does it become easier to learn another language?
It does a little bit because there are bridges being built between the different languages. For example, I decided to learn Italian about 2 years ago now, and within 2 months I passed my GCSE. Wow. I wanted to show my students that they could do it. And the more, because there were bridges between French, Spanish, and Italian. But there is also a counterpart to that, is that you might get mixed up between languages, and sometimes I speak Italian with a Spanish word.
John, you've admitted you just have French.
Yes.
Okay.
Only that.
Right. So when are you going to be taking, after this report from the British Council, when are you going to be taking your Italian GCSE?
Well, pressure's on, isn't it? I'm with Cyril here, which is a few words are greatly appreciated. Look, in my job, I'm constantly greeting foreign delegations and people from overseas, and it's absolutely, as Cyril says, 1 or 2 words completely changes the tone of the meeting. So even if you're going to on a holiday destination where you really have no language at all, 5 minutes before the trip, a quick look on Google Translate, pick up a few phrases, you'll absolutely be rewarded for it.
Okay.
I would go a little bit further. I would say if you do a crash course or just well, that's my job. So I've got to say, at the Alliance Française, that's what we do all day long.
The sales opportunities, you see.
John, thanks very much. Cyril, merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Absolument.
Bye.